If you've ever listened to a podcast episode or watched a YouTube video or just scrolled Instagram and thought like, oh my goodness, this is the thing. Like this is the thing, THE capital letters, that's going to change my business forever. And then you are so convinced and then 3 days later you are overwhelmed. I want to welcome you to the club because marketing FOMO is real. And if you've been trying to implement every single hot new strategy out there, of course, you are going to end up feeling guilty. You're going to feel drained. You're going to feel stuck. But I created this episode exactly for you because I've been there so many times. So today we are hopefully breaking the cycle. And I'm sharing the one shift that will help you stay focused and will help you make smarter decisions and actually help you move your business forward without the chaos. So let's get into it. Hi, friend. Welcome to Content Marketing for Entrepreneurs. Want to market your business without burning out? Are you tired of spending way too much time just trying to stay consistent online? I'm Eugenia, but you can call me E. I'll show you how to create a sustainable way to show up online. Let's make content creation easier and way more fun. Grab your coffee and let's dive right in. By the way, did you know that the best way to stay connected throughout the week and hear directly from me is to join my email community at bit.ly/eWoo Insider. That's bit.ly/eWoo Insider. And that's basically my weekly love letter to you. And I didn't come up with the love letter terminology. I wish I had, because that's what it feels like. It is the fastest piece of content that I create. And it just brings me so much joy to write to you and just check in with you on a weekly basis, share what's going on in my life and what's happening, things that I'm finding valuable, things that I think can help you grow in your content journey as you grow your business. I share offers that I don't share anywhere. You get early news, and I have some early news coming up, so I'm excited for those. And of course, you get the direct link to the weekly podcast before anyone else gets it. So you can join for free at bit.ly/eWoo Insider. That's bit.ly/EWOO Insider. See you inside the email. Today, I wanted to share a very personal story about my relationship with food. So if this topic is triggering to you, if that's something that you've been trying to avoid, please fast forward. I'm going to say 2 to 3 minutes so you can avoid themes that maybe you don't want to hear about. My relationship with food used to be very, very toxic, the opposite of healthy. And I'm not going to blame poor diet culture because I don't even know how this got started. Okay, I have a theory that I'm from Venezuela. That is a country where your physical aspect and how thin you are kind of like moral qualities that every woman should aspire to. We have a huge beauty pageant culture, which I love. That's like one of my lifelong dreams. But that has created some unhealthy expectations in women. So maybe it's that. Maybe it's just that I'm not naturally thin. Like I have like thick bones. Whatever it is, I just had like such an unhealthy relationship with the way I looked. And of course, it all started with my weight. So basically, I would either have restrictive patterns of like, I'm not eating this type of foods, I'm cutting this out, or I'm not eating at specific times of the day. And then I would break my diet, quote unquote diet, and I would overeat. And I'm talking like, let me have this as if this was my last meal. Like a full party-sized bag of popcorn, a full bag of Oreos. Like I wasn't even hungry anymore. I wasn't even craving that food anymore, but I just had to finish the bag. And pregnancy has stopped me from doing that just because I get sick if I do that. But if you leave me unchecked, I'm sure I would still have those little binging moments. So after much self-reflection, I realized that I was approaching food like I was on probation during a day. Like I was in jail and I couldn't eat. Like that's how it felt. I know it's a little extreme, but that's how it felt. Like I'm in jail and then I get one day out and then I have to do all of the things that I won't be able to do because I'm going to go back to jail. And I'm going to lose my freedom. So I better eat everything I want now so I don't get cravings later or I don't feel restricted later. Again, thankfully, I cannot do that in pregnancy. I need to eat everything. So I just realized how unhealthy my previous behavior was. But I'm not a nutrition expert and I'm still working through this. It's just things that I've realized. And I don't want to equate unhealthy eating habits or unhealthy habits in general to something as some might say superfluous as marketing. But in a way, we develop really unhealthy relationships with our marketing channels, with social media, and it ends up impacting our mental health. So while I'm not saying that they're both the same thing and they can have the same impact, like long-term effects on your brain, I am saying that the way we approach anything we do in life with this all or nothing mentality, this I have to be strict and I have to do the thing perfectly, that can have long lasting effects on our health one way or another. And I think, again, I'm not blaming diet culture, but I do think that this idea of seeing online the one thing that changed the game for someone and then wanting to implement it to my life definitely contributed to this pattern. And that's where I start seeing the similarities to marketing and content creation, because there's a lot of people saying, oh, this is the new thing. This is what's working right now. This is the new platform. This is what you need to start doing. This is the ultimate checklist for growth. Like there's a lot of finality in a lot of these messages. And they're doing their job, right? Those are marketers marketing their business. So we need to take responsibility, at least in the marketing aspect, for our relationship with those messages. But if I had to tell you what's one thing that I truly recommend that you stop doing if you want to stop feeling overwhelmed in your business, is taking action on every single little thing or piece of advice you see online. And I'm talking, watching a YouTube video or listening to a podcast where someone is sharing a case study or something that's been working for them, or an expert who is pitching their business. Of course, they're going to present the best argument for their services. Like they are probably amazing marketers if they're making you consider their offerings. But we hold the power to discern what we need and what we don't need. And when we start feeling like that thing we heard is the thing, sometimes even having to deal with conflicting advice, that's what I call marketing FOMO. And in case you don't know, FOMO stands for fear of missing out. And this is kind of like high school or college. You want to be at every party, at every event, or in my case, I wanted to be at every student organization, because there was this thought of, if I miss this party, I'm going to miss the thing that's going to change my life forever. Like something incredible is going to happen and there's going to be an inside joke and I'm not going to be a part of it. And then later I was always thinking, well, what if the love of my life is at this party and I miss out and I end up alone forever? Like that's the desperate energy I was bringing to my social life for years. But that's another conversation. The thing is that this FOMO and social life, in food, in marketing, every time we approach things from that perspective, that's going to lead to guilt. And there's the guilt of spending, and specifically when it comes to our businesses, because we overspend, because either it sounds amazing and we just want the result right now, and it doesn't matter if we're taking already 2 programs or we already took a program earlier this year that addresses the same concern. Like we want it right now. Or maybe they are closing doors on this once a year opportunity. So even though I don't need it right now, oh my gosh, what if this is the thing and I miss out, and then basically I'm going to fail my business this whole year. So basically I have to buy right now. And that just brings so much guilt afterwards because we are not making a conscious investment. We are being reactive. We're basically saying, okay, this is available right now. I want this result right now. I'm going to miss out on the $500 discount that they are offering, whatever it is. So we make these decisions based out of fear, and that leads us to feeling guilty with our actions. And anytime we start feeling guilty with our actions, we are opening the door to overwhelm because basically we are elevating the stakes because now this thing, it has to work. Because if it doesn't work, what's that going to mean about me? Like, is that going to mean that I'm an irresponsible business owner, that I'm not good at making decisions? Maybe I shouldn't be doing this to begin with. Like, we start questioning everything. And so we place like all this power on this decision working out simply because we made it out of fear. And also, again, very similar, you can experience the guilt of not measuring up because there's not enough time to complete all of the courses, all of the programs, and do all of the strategies. Like, oh, I'm going to launch a new lead magnet. I'm going to launch a new course. I'm going to start posting on Threads. I'm going to build this evergreen funnel. Let me check out this ad strategy. And we want to implement everything because truly most of those things work if done correctly, but we want to implement everything. And then we don't measure up. We don't finish the program. We don't implement correctly because we are super rushed. So, and I want to start talking more about confidence because I think that's key in this conversation, but it ends up impacting our confidence because we don't trust the way we spend. We don't trust the decisions we make in our business. And when we don't get results, that affects our confidence. So this guilt and confidence, there is an interesting connection, and it all comes, or partially it comes, because of fear. And this also leads to overwhelm. This is more simple, but not all advice is bad advice. I am against trashing online experts, and I read so many experts. I read to what many of the big names in the industry have to say, and for the most part, they are being sincere and they truly are trying to help people. But we need to be very, very careful and consider where that person is coming from. Is that person at the season of business that I am in? Or do they have something already established that allows them to provide that advice? For example, I had a goal a couple of years ago of creating an evergreen funnel because I heard how incredible it was and this amazing expert that I really respect and love. She was selling a program and she said, hey, I don't know if I'm going to be selling this again. And she had incredible pricing for having access to her and VIP calls. So I basically had the whole fear of missing out to 100%. And I ended up making a not very wise spending decision. And I was having this guilt of not measuring up because I didn't have time to launch the funnel. But ultimately, my overwhelm came when I realized that I didn't have a validated offer yet. Because up to that point, I had been working as a consultant for long periods of time. So I was taking a client, helping them with their social media, but it was not just a single offer. We would work very hands-on together for months, and they would basically get all these customized packages. So I didn't have a massive product that people could get validated. I didn't have a common messaging because most of my clients were coming from referrals and just connections of, oh, hey, she can help you with your marketing and project management of all your marketing. And I could adapt to anything they needed. So imagine having, let's say, a full-time job, which I did for a very long period of time, and then having that full-time job on a contractor basis, like having a part-time client. Summarizing, I didn't have a validated product. The market hadn't shown me that I had an offer that could sell on Evergreen in the back end where I knew all the objections. I knew how to provide a clear solution. I didn't have that. So I bought this evergreen funnel to try to fix a sales problem because, again, all of my sales were coming from referrals and that was getting super exhausting. So instead of spending my money on developing a clear offer and really understanding my market and positioning and like all that foundational work, I went straight to the evergreen funnel. Does that mean that evergreen funnels don't work? Absolutely not. They are amazing. I want to create one at some point. But I made this marketing strategy. I made this decision to invest in this strategy without considering where was I in my business. That led to overwhelm. Why? Because I saw a post on Instagram about how this was the one thing that's going to set your sales and your inquiries in autopilot. So I had to take action. So how can we solve this? How can we address this problem of wanting to take action on every single little thing we see on social media? I have two solutions that I love and I keep going back to. And I thought about having like 5 tips on this episode, but I want to keep it simple for you. And these two are simple, but super powerful. The first one is a concept that was created by Tiffany Napper. She's a business coach and she has a podcast, like this is the name of her podcast. And she has a whole episode where she talks about this concept. The concept is this or more. And the whole idea behind this is to think that this or more is available to you. And I don't want to get like too woo-woo or, over spiritualized things. But FOMO basically comes from this place of I'm afraid that I'm going to miss out, that this opportunity won't present itself again, that the train is going to pass and I'm going to be left standing alone in the station. The concept of this or more says, whenever we're making decisions about implementing a strategy or investing in something, we want to think this opportunity, this program, this thing that's here is available to me. And if not, something better will come. Because look at what's being presented to me right now. This is what's available to me. Like, this is the information, this is the knowledge I can get access to. So this is available for me, or more will be available in the future. So then when we have that mentality, then we don't have to make decisions out of fear. We get to be calm. And then if we remove the fear of the FOMO, we destroy it. We don't make rash decisions. We don't jump into every single trend, and we avoid the overwhelm. And then the second thing is focusing on one thing at a time. And one thing with capital letters, because this is a concept from the book, the same name, by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan. I don't know how to pronounce it, but the book will be linked below. It is such a beautiful love letter to focus. And focus is my lowest strength in my Clifton Strength Assessment. So this stuff of being focused on one thing doesn't come naturally to me because I love ideation. I love starting new things. I love creating. So focusing is not natural to me. But the big idea behind this one thing concept is that not everything that we do or not every opportunity matters equally. In fact, most of it doesn't. And a quote I love from the book, it says, extraordinary results are directly determined by how narrow you can make your focus. So let's stop making busyness sexy. Like, oh, I'm so busy. I don't have time for everything. Like, oh, I'm working at 10 p.m. on a Friday night building the dream. There's a time and a place for sure on busy seasons. But if we are talking overall business rhythm, if overwhelm is what's driving you, you are probably making this busyness something sexy. And the book actually presents the focusing question, and it is so simple. It is such a simple question, but it is a very good way to prioritize. And the question is, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everyone else will be easier or unnecessary? Read that again. Put it on a Post-it note on your laptop, maybe tattoo it on your forehead. Well, if you look at yourself in the mirror, if not, you're never going to see it. But you get the drill. Keep that question front and center. Like really journal on that question for the rest of the week. And some reminders, especially if you're a creative and a visionary like me, Remember that multitasking is a productivity killer, and it's probably overwhelming you already. Okay, so you think you're doing 5 things at the same time, but really you're doing 5 things badly. And there's science behind this. I want to get into it in a different episode. Also remember, and this is something I had to learn as I've been getting better and better and strengthening my executive functioning, is that willpower is a finite resource. We cannot rely on willpower. Again, there's science on this stuff. Don't waste your willpower scrolling on Instagram at 8 a.m. and then having to will yourself to stop scrolling. Like, that's such a dumb way. I'm not calling you dumb, but if you're doing this, you are not doing something very smart. Don't waste your willpower on something so basic as, oh, let me force myself to stop scrolling Instagram, when you could be creating or doing your one thing every morning. And then another thing I love is that success is sequential. It is not simultaneous. So when you do one thing at a time, momentum does the heavy lifting. Like, one thing leads to another, leads to another. Success doesn't happen by taking 50,000 courses or implementing 50,000 strategies and hoping that something sticks. Success comes after taking one strategy, implementing it, sticking with it, and then moving to the next one, or adding to your plate if you have the infrastructure, like the team and or the resources to support that additional strategy, that additional technique. So let's recap today's conversation. First, beware of marketing FOMO. I know we're not in high school anymore, but we can still fall victims to this. Remember, this or more is available to you. Define your one thing for this quarter. Ask yourself, what is the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? I'm all about making things easier, if you haven't noticed. Remember that multitasking brings overwhelm, willpower is finite, and success comes in sequence. Try this out. Let me know how it goes. Remember that the best way to stay connected is to join my email community at bit.ly/EWooInsider. Everything is going to be linked down in the show notes below. And every week I share my love letter to you. So really, it's the best way to stay connected to what's happening and for you to reply back and just tell me what's on your mind, what's happening, what are questions that you're having, how can I support you directly, and learn about offers that are coming before anyone else knows about those offers. And of course, you're going to get the direct link on a weekly basis to the podcast, because I know we're busy. We don't get to be on top of notifications all the time. So really, email is the best way to stay in touch, to stay informed. You can join now for free at bit.ly/EWooInsider. See you there. And see you next week. Un beso. That's a wrap on today's episode. If you loved it, don't keep it to yourself. Send it to a friend who's ready to show up confidently online without the burnout. Remember that sharing is caring. And if you want to make my day, please drop a quick review on Apple Podcasts, because seriously, it means the world to know this show is helping you take the stage on social media with confidence. See you back here soon for the next one. Un beso.